For those of you who have gone or currently go to college, you'll know that some schools require you to take way more classes than you need to. But Evan, why would colleges make you take more classes than necessary? It's gonna cost you more money to take extra classes and... oh, now I get it. I graduated college with a communication major, not bragging, but my major didn't require me to take enough classes to meet my credit requirement, so I used it as an opportunity to take random and preferably easy classes. Before one of my semesters, I was browsing courses when I found one called Communication in Video Games. Now this may come as a shock, but I like video games. The class itself was also lower level, so I figured it would be a laid-back and interesting class. I was correct about both of those assumptions. Despite the name of the class, Communication in Video Games wasn't teaching us about, like, which profanities and slurs we were supposed to use, or what was most effective for communicating our frustrations in online lobbies. The format of the class was just going through the history and evolution of gaming as a whole, looking at different technology, time periods, genres, etc. History in general can be a bit boring in my opinion, so I'm not going to act like the class was always super engaging, but overall it was a solid 3-credit class that studied a subject I had interest in, and I can't say that about most of the classes I took. So you're probably wondering if there was nothing wrong with this class, then why would I even discuss it? Well, I mainly wanted to just talk about some of the funny things that went on in the class. The first thing I noticed on day 1 of taking the course was there were a lot of guys in my class, a straight up sausage fest. There were some girls, but probably no more than 3 or 5, and I mean, I wasn't surprised it was filled with mostly dudes, but a lot of them also happened to resemble a neck-bearded Redditor, you know, the guys who wear fedoras and wield katanas. Now, I'm not trying to be mean and make fun of people for their appearance, because I'm no looker myself. I'm just pointing out that many of my classmates looked like stereotypical gamers. Unfortunately, they also fit the stereotype of not being very social people, and the bad part about that was our professor liked having us do group discussions and debates. Long story short, conversing with my fellow gamers was like pulling teeth sometimes. I mean, heck, my professor would literally pull up a game we were learning about on his computer, and he would have a hell of a time trying to get a volunteer to come up and just play the game. That's right. My professor struggled with getting gamers to play video games. It's mind-blowing stuff. I actually had to volunteer every single time. I mean, it got to the point where my professor would ask if anyone besides Evan would like to try out the game, and then he'd get no response and just be like, "Alright, Evan, come on up." And to add a cherry on top of the antisocial Sunday, a lot of my classmates recorded their oral presentations on their phones beforehand and just played the video on the class projector. Look, I understand giving a speech can be nerve-wracking and not everyone enjoys public speaking, but our presentations only had to be 3 to 5 minutes long. It's not like we had to do a 15-minute monologue about the kids we met online who claimed they banged our mothers. Regardless, my professor didn't have a problem with the pre-recorded speeches, so it wasn't a huge deal. The class was definitely more centered around writing though, and that was completely fine by me. For our final paper, we got to write a 5 to 7 page essay about anything video game related, so I decided to write about my favorite video game character, Mario. Yes, I wrote a 6-page report about the history of Super Mario. Don't worry, I also submitted my Virgin card to enhance my credibility. I'll also mention that of the 3 or 5 girls in our class, one of them was very attractive. But when she did her presentation, she disclosed to the class that she doesn't even play video games, and proceeded to talk about webkins. Frankly, it wouldn't have mattered if she talked about some shitty game like E.T. or Ninja Bread Man, because she had our full attention. Well, I mean, she had every guy looking at her. Most of us probably weren't listening. But anyways, that's really all I wanted to discuss about my video game class. This wasn't really much of a story, as it was just a few funny observations I made throughout the semester. It was genuinely fun to learn about the history of gaming and have it count towards my credits to graduate. And I mean, for some of our homework assignments, we literally had to try some new video games, so it's kind of hard to not like that. And for the record, my final grade in the class was an A, probably because of all the times I volunteered to play games on the projector, no big deal. And I think a lesson to take from this is, if you have extra credits to take in college, try to enroll in classes that will either be fun and or teach you a valuable skill. Because believe it or not, since finishing school in general, I've yet to have a situation in my life where I needed to use some ridiculous equation or find the area of a triangle. But that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and check out my other ones if you want, and I'll see you all next time, so stay tuned for more.